Here we go, guys, with Unit 6. Yes, you have made it to Unit 6, which is about polynomial and rational functions. 6.1 is just about graphs and roots of polynomials. So our objective today is that students will be able to graph and find the roots of a polynomial. Now, what is a polynomial? A polynomial is just a function that consists of terms that are all whole number powers. The most general form you can see in this. We know when the highest exponent is 2, it's called a quadratic. We know when the highest exponent is 3, it's a cubic. So most of the time, polynomials will be something that's higher than a 2. So our first example, I really want you guys to know how to use these calculators. So we're going to sketch some cubic functions and circle the x-intercepts. So I'm going to have you pause the video, go and get your calculator, and I'm going to pull my calculator up. That means you have to get up and get your calculator if you didn't do this already. That's part of your do now, was to get a calculator. So if you didn't, now is when you go and get that calculator. Alright, thank you for getting those calculators. So I want to get to my calculator screen, and I want to be in my home screen that looks like this. I want to go to graph, and I will see this. So I hit tab and I get the first function. So I want to enter the function x to the third, and to get it up there you have to use the sign under the equal. Come out, we all should know how to enter this by now, minus 3x squared take away 6x plus 8. That's your a function. Hit enter. Now this is the very important part. Notice on your graph I gave you some window. See, the x is from -5 to +5, and the y is from -20 to +20. So on your calculator, go to menu, window, window settings. So you want your x minimum to be -5, the maximum to be 5, the y minimum to be -20. These are domains that I gave you, and range. And you should have a window setting like this. Hit OK, and you will be able to see a perfect cubic function. Now this is what you're going to sketch onto your paper. But what I need you to do is, when you sketch this, just circle these points over here. So if I can only copy this, let me give you an example. Let me take this graph and graph it over here. So this graph, I'm going to go ahead and sketch it. You should have something that looks like this. Now what I really want you to do is to go ahead and circle the x-intercepts. So I want to go ahead and circle these x-intercepts. So I have one right here, one intercept right here, and the other right here. So I want you to pause the video, try B and C. I really want you to practice getting these window settings. Notice the windows. This is what, let's highlight this. This is what you need to make sure it's set at. Look at the parameters that I gave you. Okay, same goes for C. So take a minute, pause the video, and try to graph these and circle their x-intercept. Go ahead. Alrighty guys, so now that you got a chance to try those, I hope you got a graph that looks like this for B with one x-intercept, and then for C, C, we have two x-intercept. So all of these, notice the highest degree is cube, 3. Those are called cubic functions. So as you can see clearly, a cubic functions can have 1, 2, or 3 roots, and can have 2 turning points. Just a quick reminder, how do you clear your calculator? So to clear your calculator, we're going to go to Document, DOC, and the letter B. Okay? If you're not sure, again, if you don't know how to enter this, please pause the video and come see me directly. Okay? Moving along, we have this cubic function, and I want you to algebraically tell me the zeros. So, the first thing I want to do is look at this function up here. What do they have in common? I see they all have an x in common, so I'm going to take that x out, and I'm left with x squared minus x minus 12 equals to 0. I'm setting it equal to 0 because I want to determine the zeros. So, in here, it's a quadratic, so I want to go ahead and solve this quadratic. So A is 1, B is -1, and C is -12. If I was to solve this, I get -12 in the top, -1 in the bottom. So this becomes -4 and a +3. So now I can rewrite this entire thing as x parentheses x minus 4 and x plus 3 equals 0. So then my last step, I need to split this up. So we have x equals 0, that's 1. We have x minus 4 equals 0, that's 2. X plus 3 equals 0. We will have 3 answers because it's a cube. Remember, the highest exponent tells you how many solutions. So x equals 0, this is one of my answer. Here I'm going to add 4 on both sides. I'm left with x equals 4. That's one of my other answer. And then minus 3 on both sides. I'm having x is equal to -3. Now it says sketch a graph of this illustrating your answer. So when we're sketching a graph, we know it's going to pass through 0. I'm sorry, here I should have put the negative. Oops. We know it's going to pass through the 0. It's going to pass through 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here. And it's going to pass through -3 right here. So we know somehow this graph is going to come and pass through. So now let's go to the calculator. Clear my dot. Here is document B. Everything is gone. I want to go to graph, and I want to enter my function x to the third, take away x squared minus 12x, enter. Now we are just concerned with our labels, so I want to know this point. So really quick, I'm just going to show you how to do this. We talked about tracing, so I go to menu, trace, graph trace. Notice that that's one of my zeros. When is y 0, 0, 0, and I want to go up and down. I'm going to go all the way up, and I see a max. Here is another 0 at -3. Look at the bottom, -3, 0, which is one of our answers. And I'm going to go to the other side to see what's that point. And at that point, it's 4, 0, and as you can see, our 3 answers. So when I sketch this, it's going to look something, you know, not too great, but your graph should look something like that. You're going to have a way better graph than me. This line should never have been this way. So there should be like a nice form curve. Something like that is fine. So that's going to be your graph. Now the reason why I show you that trace is because for number 3. Number 3 says the largest root of this falls between which two consecutive number. Oops, which two consecutive, and it's asking for the largest root. So we need to graph this first. So I'm in my calculator. I'm going to clear this off because I need to enter a new function. I want to enter x, oops, x to the third minus 9x squared plus 12x plus 22. Hit enter. Whoa, I made a mistake. See, look at that. Oops. Hit tab. See, I forgot to come after I did this. I totally forgot to come out. So when I do x to the third, see, that's a simple mistake. I need to come out of that so that my 9x is at the bottom, at the base. Oops. See, a simple mistake would give us a graph that looks like that. We have no idea what that is, because I surely don't. Here you go. Now, I want to make this fit. Well, actually, it doesn't matter. The question asks you for, what's our question says? What's the largest root? So the largest is always going to be the one that is farthest to your right. So I am going to be looking at this point right here. And now, you're going to use what I just showed you. Go to Menu, Trace, Graph Trace, and see where it starts me off. But I want to go all the way down. Keep going all the way down to find what this point is. Notice it says 0. It says 0 just now, and it gives you something here. So it tells you that point, that x value is 6.73, and I know 6.73, so here the point was 6.73, comma, what was it? 8e to the negative, whatever this, we don't care but what that is. Something like that, I think it was, yep. We don't care what that is. We care about my x value. What number is 6.73 between? It is between 6 and 7. So your answer is choice 2. Alrighty, our last example again. I want you to go ahead and sketch this graph, label the x-intercepts, and then I want you to write it in a factored form. So grab your calculator again. Remember, look at these domain. It's really big. The domain and the range is from 500 to from negative 10 to a positive 10. Okay? So get your calculator. Let's graph this. So I got my calculator. I'm going to go ahead, document B, clear everything out. Back to my graph. X to the 4th. Don't forget to come out like I just didn't come back out. X to the 3rd minus 35 x squared minus 39x. Oh, see, lucky I check. After that, I did not, oopsie. X to the 3rd, come out, Miss Samu. I need to bring that cursor out. 35 x squared minus 39x plus 70. Enter. Looks like something crazy. But remember, we have to set our table, window settings. And look at this. Remember what I showed you? We need to go from negative 10 to positive 10, and then negative 500 to negative 10 to positive 10, which is already set. I want this to be negative 500 to a positive 500. Hit OK. So this is the graph. So we're going to go ahead and sketch that graph. It looks something, let's see what it looks like. It's go between there. Okay, so it looks like something is coming like this, then it comes like this, and it goes like this. So I want to find what are these 1, 2, 3, 4 solutions. I want to see what is this point, what is this point, what is this point, and what is this point. And then we're going to label this diagram. So again, we go to Menu, Trace, Graph Trace. See where it starts me off? So I'm going to come all the way on this to the left, and what's that point? So this first point is negative 7, 0. Let's find the second point. Keep it going. We don't care about that. This is what we care about. So it's negative 2, 0, and I want to label this as negative 2, 0. Then I want to keep it going to my next point. Remember, it's where they said 0, which is at 1, 0. So this is 1, 0. And then the last point, because they intersect, notice that they intersect at 4 spots. That's 4 places, and that's 5, 0. 5, 0. So that's my graph, and that is my labeled x-intercepts. Now the last part said base your graph from part A, write an expression x to the 3rd plus 3x cubed minus 35x squared minus 39x x plus 70 in its factored form. So whenever we're writing factored form, remember, I need to think of, when you're writing factored form, it's going to be x plus 7, x plus 2, x minus 1, and x minus 5. Where did I get this from? So I really want you to look at these numbers that I'm underlining here. All, and I'm going to highlight it, are your x value here. But it's the opposite of it. Because all I'm trying to say now is if I was to take this part of it, x plus 7, make it equal to 0, this will be minus 7 on both sides. X will be equal to negative 7. So this piece is telling me when x is negative 7, it is your y-intercept, which is this point right here. And the same thing goes. So the shortcut is, after you find these x-intercept that I just highlighted, you take the x number and it becomes the opposite of it. So since this was negative 7, it becomes positive. This was a negative 2, it becomes a positive 2. This was a positive 1, it becomes a negative 1. This is a positive 5, it becomes a negative 5. Alright, so go practice using that calculator and master how to graph and do trace on this TI Inspire. Good luck!